welcome to the second panel of the day here at Telecom Review Summit. The narrative behind this panel is actually about a journey. So a journey of how do we see service providers evolving from a telco-centric DNA into a more tech-oriented business model. And for most of us being in the industry for the past couple of decades, the question is it the first time we've seen it? Probably not, but were those previous attempts, success stories? I think we have mixed feelings. We've seen some very good and inspiring stories, but I think we have a common consensus that this time is going to look different. And why? That's because of the acceleration at the speed that the Gen AI, so the generative AI, is expected to bring. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss today as part of this panel. Mounir, what about data monetization that you see coming out of the Gen AI?
Yeah, first let me just take a step back that I believe that Gen AI, compared to the traditional, or ML-based AI that we have been experimenting or implementing, is that it has these three characteristics: that it understands natural language, it can predict the next text, and it generates content. That's the big difference. It generates content, which ML does not do. And because of that, Gen AI can enable two things simultaneously. It can enable the vision of, and everybody is talking about that, we've been talking about it here, the hyper-personalized services and the create on-demand experiences that are tailored to specific customers. And we'll talk about the monetization in a second. And at the same time, be used to really enable the vision of autonomous networks. Because I don't think I heard it in the morning, but the vision of autonomous network is fundamental to enabling this techo model. The techo model is the combination of smart IT and smart and intelligent IT operations, allowing to offer digital experiences on demand, at the same time backed by an autonomous network. And Gen AI can allow these two together. It can act as a co-pilot. Gen AI today is the big promise of it is acting as a co-pilot. So us as a vendor in the service assurance, for example, we are embedding it in our own software capabilities. So what we are doing with that, we are making it very easy to simplify very complex network queries. So you can talk to your network, and you can extract data from your network in a plain English language, in contrast with doing some very complex queries, etc. And that allows you then to extract this data that you want in a natural language. For example, in this area, I want to understand how many of my premium users are having this kind of experience, or what kind of content they are consuming, etc. The result will come to you in a code format, because Gen AI can speak your language and the code language. And then you can put it in an API and expose it. And this is where the monetization comes. I believe that the monetization is either in offering and monetizing quality of service and SLAs, or selling data. Those are the opportunities that I see in the short term. And Gen AI can be a fantastic enabler to these two areas, to achieving these two things. And as we were discussing just before with Sam, the open gateway that GSMA have launched I think it was in Mobile World Congress last year, or the Camara Alliance, etc., are exactly aimed at kind of enabling this kind of data monetization model. One last thing I want to add is that we as a software vendor, and this is very important to all the companies, including telcos, we as a software company are embedding Gen AI as a development co-pilot. There is a revolution happening right now. Gen AI can help you create code from your design. It can help you debug the code. It can help you translate it. For example, you take a function written in COBOL, you can write it in Java. And so it allows you to fast track really the software development capabilities on board young developers. And we've seen with Amazon Q, for example, that was announced in Mobile World Congress, in reInvent, what it can do, 20 to 50% operational gains can be achieved. And that can bootstrap any telco wanting to become a techo. Because if you want to become a techo, your staff shouldn't be just network operators or customer care representative. They need to be software people and technology people. Gen AI will help you do that. And that's a big promise for our industry.
So do you think that digital marketplace, I mean, it's such a dynamic context, can bring, the Gen AI offerings much more simple and accessible for both the enterprises and the consumers?
It can contribute definitely because, again, let's talk about what we said in the beginning. What telcos are trying to do today. They want to become techos, right? So how is this going to be achieved with the network? Beyond just selling connectivity, we want to sell operators aim to get to a point where they can expose their network, right? The network capabilities through open APIs to be consumed by third-party providers. And those third-party providers can be hedge funds who want the data in the network, can be application developers, can be smart cities, etc. So there is a wide range of customers out there that can consume through a marketplace. To get there, you need to expose your network functions, right? Your network as a services. This is the NAS model, network as a service. So you expose the capabilities on a marketplace, and then people come subscribe and to these capabilities or the data exposed on the marketplace, and then you get the monetization model as such. And being cloud native, right, and exposing these capabilities on a digital marketplace in the cloud will allow this model to happen. So it will definitely help to extract value from Gen AI. But again, what you aim to sell is, as we said before, you aim to sell quality of service, you aim to sell SLAs, because at the end of the day, this is what our industry wants to do with 5G, right? And 5G slicing or private 5G. Be in a position to monetize SLAs and quality of service, etc. Bringing it back, so this takes us from the digital marketplace to the autonomous network again, because you need to be in a position to guarantee this quality of service. You need to be in a position to guarantee these SLAs. So you need to have an autonomous network that is able to do so. And that autonomous network needs an intent. Again, you have an intent. So you say that customer is asking now for this type of service with those quality of service parameters. He wants to buy them through a marketplace. How do I then translate this and provision and translate it into network workflows and automation workflows to deliver that service and guarantee that quality of service?
Yeah.
Gen AI should be the operating system of the future network that can deliver these capabilities through a marketplace. That's the big promise of Gen AI. It can be that. It can translate your plain English intent for the service. I want to give this digital experience to that customer on that marketplace, and can translate it into kind of workflows and capabilities and guarantee that.
Yeah, Mounir, this is probably something that goes to the zero-touch automation type of concept, where actually you have to...
Yes, exactly. And just to finish on that point, the only thing is Gen AI is not there yet, because we are, I think, overhyping it right now. Okay, today it predicts text, mostly. So it needs to be able to reason. And the next big promise of Gen AI, and this is where the big opportunity will be, is when with things such as the self-taught reasoning that OpenAI is developing, etc., is when Gen AI will be able to step-by-step reason and be able to get you to a decision, and solve a complex problem with multiple steps. I think that the most immediate and promising use case for Gen AI is Copilot, specifically in software development, that every single company present in this room can start experimenting. To achieve the bigger promise of Gen AI, we need two things. I think Gen AI doesn't speak the network language, the telco language today. It is not trained for that. It is not trained for network analytics. we have today models like Falcon, like, you know, here in Abu Dhabi, we have others, you know, the models from Meta, etc. But we need a model trained for telco. That will take time, and that will need collaboration across the industry for us to have the telco or the network LLM that will serve the use cases that we are talking about, and that will help the Gen AI to become really the operating system of a future automated and very, very smart telco into the future.
Thanks, Mounir.